Welcome back, third period. This is the first of two videos on lesson G4, which is all about human adaptations to the physical environment. This video is going to cover G4A and G4B. Let's just review the summary for this group of lessons. So human interaction with the environment began with the need for basic resources. They've evolved to meet the needs of agriculture, trade, and industry. This led to humans inhabiting every continent and requiring greater access and consumption of resources, uneven distribution of wealth, diffusion of biodiversity, reduction of biodiversity, and the need for environmental protections. So that is the summary of this group of lessons for G4. So the starter claim for G4 is human adaptation is usually related to food production and security. So just a reminder, that starter claim is only sometimes true. So when we get to do our writing, that is going to be one of the reasons that humans adapt to the environment, but we're going to come up with other reasons. That will never be your thesis sentence. That will be part of your thesis sentence. All of our sources are going to prove that that is true and also challenge that that is not always true. So let's start with G4A. So G4A is all about scarcity, surplus, trade, and transportation. So scarcity is when there is more of a demand for resource than the resources available. So think of diamonds. There's lots of people that want diamonds, but it's pretty rare. Surplus is the opposite. So there is a lot of a resource and there's not a high demand. Think of dirt in the field at CFMS. Trade is where you're exchanging money or goods for other goods. So somebody has something you want and you don't have access to it, so you're going to trade. And then transportation would be the method to get from one place to another to possibly get those items. So number one, a natural resource is a physical material that people depend on and value. So you see here on this image on the bottom, natural resources are always made by Mother Nature. That's why it has the word nature in natural. The value of a resource is based on people's needs and changes in technology. So when technology changes, let's say the internal combustion engine, then we had cars. Once we had cars, we had a demand for oil, so the value of oil became greater. Before cars, oil was still inside the earth, underneath the Earth's surface. Nobody cared about it. Or same with aluminum. Aluminum, like an aluminum foil, it increased in value once we needed aluminum to create smartphones. The location of resources affects the distribution of people on Earth and the economic systems that they develop. The uneven distribution of resources influences where people live and how they earn their livings. So where resources are is completely up to Mother Nature. So the fact that you have in these areas in the Middle East and parts of Northern Africa where they have oil, that is just the luck of the draw. They did not do anything to get it. That just happens to be where the oil is. That will affect population of people there. It'll also affect their economic system there. So the uneven distribution of resources influences where people live and how they earn their living. If you live in a region such as the region of the continent of Africa that has a lot of natural resources, but not a great ability to transform or manufacture those natural resources into a product like an iPhone that people want, then they are going to be shipping those natural resources to other countries that have manufacturing centers like the United States, like Canada, like Brazil, that are going to take those resources and transform them. So those countries that have manufacturing capabilities are going to have a higher standard of living. Regions often create trade relationships and invest in transportation networks, for example, the railroad, to get the resources that they need. Countries export products they produce in exchange for goods and services that they cannot get locally, and that should make perfect sense. So we make things, and then we exchange those for things that we cannot make. The success of these trade relationships has led humans to pursue innovations in transportation. So let's look at those exchange of goods. So you're going to learn about the Silk Road, and you see on this map right here the different products that were being traded, and those countries created trade networks because they had products that other regions wanted. Same with the Columbian Exchange, this exchange of products between the Americas and Afro-Eurasia. Because of those types of trade networks, we have to come up with very creative ways to transport those items. So for instance, and it still exists today, but this was a big deal during the Silk Road, was using camels to transport products. And in the United States, we built the Transcontinental Railroad. This is a railroad that connected the eastern coast of the United States to the western coast of the United States to exchange products from east to west. New technologies often disrupt patterns of exchange. For instance, the invention of the gas engine increased demand for oil resource. So let's talk about oil. So before oil was a resource in demand because of cars, Saudi Arabia was just a desert region with sheiks that lived in tents. Here, after oil became in high demand and had a high value. Now you see what Saudi Arabia looks like after oil is in high demand. Here you have the different, you have countries around the world, and you have here what they produce. So you're showing the different goods and how these countries might want to trade with each other. Talking about new technologies with 3D printing, and that's we can now create artificial ears and noses and bones and use those in surgeries. That has absolutely disrupted the patterns of exchange, as has artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is transforming how we trade across the globe. So G4B is now about human adaptation and innovation. And you need to know that people can adapt to their environments through innovation, and there's 3 main ways that they do this through innovation. So the first innovation is new agricultural practices, and those new agricultural practices have increased food supplies and have supported population growth. So when we come up with better ways to grow food and grow more food, then we have more food in supply, so less people are starving, and then we can support more people on the planet. So examples of these innovations are irrigation in arid or dry regions. We also have domestication of animals. So when we take animals that are wild and we domesticate them, for instance, cows and pigs and all that good stuff, so that we can then have them as a source of protein. And then also crop rotation. Crop rotation is where every year you plant a different crop on the soil, and that's to give the soil a little bit of a rest, and different types of crops put different types of nutrients back into the soil. The second innovation is coming up with new ways to manufacture or make products to expand the land farmers can use. So some example of this, of ways that we can expand the land that farmers can use, is machine use in agriculture or scientific breeding of plants and animals. So once we have machines like this wheat thresher here, then this farmer does not have to do all of this field by himself. He doesn't need to spend money hiring field hands to do this when it's harvest time. He can do this in a quick amount of time because he has the machinery. Same with scientific breeding of plants and animals. So we can breed plants to be disease resistant, to be resistant to certain types of weather situations, to produce fruit, for instance, that doesn't have seeds. Those are all selective breeding. We also can do that with chickens. So you see here that we have selectively bred chickens to weigh more. The more they weigh, the more meat we can get off of them. So in 1957, a chicken weighed roughly 905 grams, and in 2005, they weighed 4,202 grams. That is one big chicken. So that would be a way of using innovation to expand what farmers can do. So the quality and the quantity of food has increased worldwide, which has created even more global trade networks. The third innovation is applying new technologies to reduce challenging conditions of physical environments, making the movement of people and goods easier. We live in a challenging physical environment. We live in Florida. It's hot and it's humid. So some examples of this innovation are air conditioning. So allowing the expansion of population to regions that were once thought uninhabitable. So this is an air conditioner in case you don't know what one looks like, but you live in Florida, so you should. Here is a graph showing that the change in population in the South with the access of air conditioning. So the population has increased dramatically in the South because people can now move here and be comfortable. Also, we have the steam engine. The steam engine and the internal combustion engine, which is what we use for what we used to use for gasoline engines, that increased production of resources needed to support humans in various environmental conditions. So those two inventions, the steam engine and the internal combustion engine, made it easier to transport raw materials to manufacturing sites and made it easier to manufacture those products so that we could get it to the market. That is all of our notes. I hope that you not only wrote everything down, but listened to my explanation. This is going to be relevant information. I will see you in class.